Welcome to Rigging 101. What is Rigging 101, you might ask? What is rigging? Rigging is where you can properly lift something without hurting yourself. You're using some form of hoist, you're using some form of hydraulics, you're using some kind of a winch, mechanical means. I don't care if it's a good old block and tackle. Straight up rope pulleys on a 4-to-1, 8-to-1 ratio. That is where you make your life easier. Now, you got different kinds of rigging out there. Chain is rigging. Wire, braid, rope, slings, that is rigging. You see what I have here are soft nylon 2-inch, 2 8-foot long straps. All right? They have different ratios on them. You see them? That's how it's marked. On a vertical lift, it can handle 6,400 pounds. If it's choked, it reduces the effectiveness down to 5,100, and it gives you an idea because it has a nice little diagram of a straight-on pull, choke pull, or a basket pull. Now you notice the basket pull right here. That choker, this one piece of choker, this one section, can handle 12,800 pounds. You know, sometimes I have a tendency to basket choke everything. If not, I just straight up choke it. Now, you'll see in a number of videos from a number of people when it comes to logging or when it comes to doing various aspects. They will commonly use a grab dog, which is I don't have one, basically because I consider them very unsafe. Basically it is a circular clamp that's hooked up to chain or some form of rigging that you hook up to your tractor bucket, and you come down and it grabs hold of the log. Now, a lot of times people will use with this setup, and this setup is always what you call a single point lift. Now, a single point lift, I'm going to demonstrate. And a single point lift, folks, is very dangerous. I'm going to tell you why. Whenever I do anything on this property, and this is just my own personal convictions, whenever I do anything, and the best thing that I can recommend to you, the viewer, what can you do alone? What can you accomplish safely? What can you do and maximize your effort? You'll quickly see a single point lift is not the way to do it. And I'm going to give you guys a live demonstration of why is this so. Now, a single point lift requires you, the rigger, who's performing the rigging, to pretty much find center line, the center mark of whatever you're moving. Now, if you are dealing with a 40-foot long stick of pipe, well, you mark it at the 20-foot mark and you found dead center. Why? Because it is evenly made, thicknesses are the same, weight, que sera, sera. However, when you're dealing with timber, you notice you got a wide end, you got a narrow end. So, that's where the age-old principle of dead reckoning comes into play. And it's not always foolproof. So, what we're going to do is we're going to guesstimate that is probably somewhere like that. Might come back just a shade. Then we're going to take this PV because we have no ground clearance. We're going to roll our log onto our choker. Just like that. Now, what we're going to do, just to do it, you see now we got some ground clearance. I'm going to go ahead and throw this on a double bite. Just to do it, because I generally prefer doing it that way when it comes to moving any kind of timber. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and lock this in on itself. So there we go. Now I'm going to come back and we're going to get a tractor in position. I want to show you fine people why this is fairly dangerous, possibly haphazardous. I think just to do it, I'm going to shift my rigging down. Shade. Stick around. All right, see how my fork's right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up in a basket style, shackled to a choke. Take it all the way in, bump it. It releases. I've addressed this in other videos before, but I'll address it again. All of our rigging equipment we got off of Amazon. I was quite impressed with the price. It wasn't bad at all. The shackles, 2 sets of them, 4 total, and 4 chokers, 2 8s and 2 12s. You know, I don't even think the whole kit costs 50 bucks. Maybe not even that. But we will research it and we'll get back to you to give you an idea of the price point. These forks, I think they're around 130 to 150. And really, folks, it's been working out pretty well. Right? Get back on task. I'm going to show you why I don't like single point rigging. And I'm not going to move this, I'm just going to lift up on it. Watch. Alright folks, you're looking at a single point rig. Now, you can see it's hanging from the forks and the fork is kind of bending down. Could have strapped it around both forks and might have been a better weight distribution. The idea is to show you guys the potential hazards of a single point rig. You can see you have no control over this rig. It's at a center point. you got to find smack dead center at all times. Generally, this kind of setup requires what is commonly referred to as a ground man. That means a guy like me standing right here while you drive the load. Now, let me tell you the problem with this rigging, aside from having no control over it and having to have two people. If you hit the slightest dip in the road, a rut on your property, then this rigging will become what is commonly called a spring line. That means it springs. And this is going to knock your teeth out or sling you to the ground, punch you in the ribs. Either way, the point of the conversation is the ability to negotiate something effectively and safely is nullified by this rigging. Any guy that's been in the trades, they'll use this quite a bit. You always have to have 2 to 3 men, and they'll tell you, it gets hairy real quick. And it's because we've been doing it for years, but if you want to get something done effectively, take a little more time, spend a little more money, and do what I prefer. It's called a 2-point rig. And I'm about to show you that. A 2-point rig means exactly what it says. 2 points of contact with the load. Single point means single point. 2 point, 2 points of contact. With 2 points of contact, you as a single individual trying to work your property, here's a scenario for you. You're out there, you buy 20 acres of land, folks. You get your sawmill, you got your tractor, you got your loader, and it doesn't have a grapple on it. It's got a bucket on it. It's got forks on it. And that's as good as it gets. You don't have the high-speed 4-point log grabber, okay? So, how can you move stuff safely, effectively, and not worry about speeding you up or your machinery up? Because keep in mind, you get a sawmill for say 35 to, we'll just call it $4 grand. Beautiful. Good investment, you can do a lot with it. You use this kind of rig and you knock that sawmill right off the bunk. Well, you'll probably have to rebuild that sawmill, or you're going to have to find a way to piece it back together. It's like Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall. So how can you keep your machinery intact as well as keeping you intact? It's a 2-part deal. Because you got to be thinking about your safety. If you have a loved one, say you got your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, and you have them on the other side of this. Maybe they don't know how to operate the tractor effectively. You do. I can move this sling down probably about 3 more inches and it'll be about right. However, it's still going to be teetering. And with that being said, how would you feel about hitting a little dip, and I do mean just a little dip, rolling over a log? I'm going to show you guys a double rig. With that double rig, you will be able to negotiate alone safely. Because the last thing you want to do is to put someone you love in a point of danger. Now let me explain something to you. Fear is an emotion. Danger is reality. Those are words to live by. Fear is what you feel. Fear is when you are apprehensive about something. Danger is what will make you have a very bad day. Danger is very real. And what we're trying to do, and what the point of this little rigging 101 for you fine viewers, is we're going to try to help negotiate the danger out. If you can engineer the hazard out of the equation, do it. Look at it. Study it. Think about it. Now you notice in another video, it looked like I kind of haphazardly cut a tree that had a widowmaker up on top of it. Now if you analyze that video, you'll see that I was using another tree as a block. Is it perfect? No. Am I justifying my actions? No. But what am I doing? I'm trying to make the best out of a bad scenario. Always think before you act. And as I've told you guys before, plan your work and do your best to work your plan. It doesn't always go that way. You have to think on your feet. With that being said, try to do it safely. Now I'm going to show you guys a double rig. Alright, I'm going to show you guys a double rig. I'm going to go ahead and put up these 8-footers. Then we'll go ahead and pull out the 12s. I'm going to pull out the 12s to show you guys where you can get a good visual on what I'm talking about. Now let's take a look at these 12-footers right here. Come over here, and now you can see the diagrams. You got a straight line, vertical and line, choked, and basket. So you can see it's 2-inch strap, 6,400 pounds for an inline pull style rig. Choke rig is 5,100 pounds. Basket rig is 12,800. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and choke this. 1 12-footer. Two 12-footers. So what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to do a 2-point rig. 2 points of contact. Think of a triangle. Triangle from the days of antiquity actually has been one of the strongest foundations in building designs ever come up with. Have you ever looked at a dragster? Yes, a dragster. A dragster is, when you look at a dragster frame, the old long dragsters, the frame, the chassis, is nothing but triangles, opposing triangles, welded down linear surfaces. It gives rigidity, it gives base. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to give base to what you need. So you'll have a base point on top of a solid lift point. You see what I'm talking about? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just hook fast shackles to these things. That way. It's all handled. Working out pretty well. And again, when you do this, you still want to make sure that you are keeping this load balanced. We're very near it. Take it in, pump it back. In, pump it back. Now let's test the feel. Too much sugar. One, two, three, four. Two, three. see my point about having a 2-point lift? You lift like this, you notice I got it turned around. Probably should have used the 8-foot chokers, but because of the angle and the length of the log, I chose to go with the 12s. Now, there's other rigging configurations you could do. You could do 8s, basket the 8s, basket the 12. Rigging knows no boundaries. It's whatever is effective and it's whatever you can come up with. But you can see this, I could drive this thing all over the property. I could take it up to the sawmill, put it on the bunk, and I could do it alone. That's a very important thing. Because if you could do it alone, I'm going to point something out. If you have a significant other that wants to help, okay, and you can do it alone. Now, why did he just do that, you're asking? Well, it's because I heard something go creak and you did too. Now, the fact that those are screw-on forks, and I was kind of standing close proximity to them. There's an age-old saying, don't push phase. Hence, I move forward. But say you have a significant other that wants to help my viewers. Well, that's great. If you are doing a single point lift, yeah, well, that individual doesn't know how to be a ground man. Even experienced groundmen, experienced riggers, they do a single point lift, they get the heebie-jeebies. Okay, you'll see a guy get real intense, real fast with an operator. And you'll hear a vocabulary that your precious little ears might not be up to the task of hearing. Because it's not a joke when a piece of pipe, a bundle of rebar, what have you, bounces. And it hits you in the chest, hits you in the teeth. You're going to be gumming your chow. You're going to get crushed lungs. That sounds pretty graphic, Jay. Really, man? That really happens? Look at the size of that log, people. Your significant other is there because you're doing a single point lift. Or you feel you can control the load better because you got the muscles. It ain't about muscles, it's about this. You know, there was a World War II British colonel that when he formed a unit in North Africa, he had a saying. He said, if you're tough, get out. I want buggers with brains. Just for the record, that man created the British Special Air Service, the SAS. Food for thought. So, okay, tough guy, you decide you're going to go ahead and hold one end. Meanwhile, your significant other is driving the tractor, so you wind up getting cracked ribs. Where's the balance point? It's the point of my tie rod. 2 points, you don't need your significant other. And that's not a bad thing. What that means is if they want to help you, watch. You come up on the log bunk and look at the amount of pressure. I'm holding on to a little piece of splinter right here. Now, if you really want to do this safely, what you do, folks, is real simple. You tie your rope to one end of it. It's called a tag line. That means you are away from the load altogether. You throw you about 4 to 6 feet over there, wrap it around a couple times, and there it is. I don't have any rope on me, but if you really want to do it real safe, that's what you do. you put tag lines on one end that you're going to be controlling it from. You don't need it for driving it up there. Okay? If this is an industrial job, yeah, you'd have to have them on there. That's what we do for preventative measures. This is an industrial project. This is the backyard. This is your property. This is you doing your thing. But if you want to put tag lines on there and your significant other wanted to help you, then they would be holding on to a rope away from the load. And as you can see, the purpose of the double rig, the 2 points. With that slight bit of action right there, you could come up on that log bunk and just as gingerly as I am just lightly caressing this log, if they wanted to help, they could guide you right into place. And as long as you didn't decide to bounce the hydraulics, run over something at the wrong time, because don't get me wrong, you got 2 spring lines there. So if you hit a rut, yeah, it will have reciprocation. It will bounce. But remember what I told you before, low and slow. I would not transport this at that height. See, let's look at that rut right there I just stepped in. You hit your tire with that. The whole load is going to shift. Food for thought. For every action, there is an equal reaction. Tire goes in rut, bucket moves, load goes bouncy bouncy. Remember this. It can jerk, it can bust your hydraulics, it can knock your loved one's teeth out. But you see the principle of a 2-point rig. This is the setup you have seen me use all the time on the property. Now I know you're going to say, what about when you're dragging those logs? That is not a 1-point rig. That is a drag line. Ideally, chokers aren't good for drag line. They can be used for it though. Ideally, maybe wire slings would be better, or chain. Anything metal or steel. But use what you got. So I hope this video has given some clarity to principles of rigging. And the principles can be held true with whatever medium you use, meaning chains, meaning wire slings. They can be held true no matter what you use for rigging. Use chains. You make sure those chains are solidly bound. Make sure those chains are locked. Hooks out. Remember that. Whenever you rig with hooks, and when we get some, I'll make more rigging videos. If you ever rig with hooks, you got wire slings with hooks, you got chains with hooks. The way a hook is shaped, a fishing hook is a hook. Where do you hook that fish? In the belly of the hook. Not up here on the prong, but in the belly. You have a shank that gets tied on to whatever you're going to be hooking onto. In the belly. So whenever you rig, guys, hooks out, prongs out. Remember that, because it has to be cradled in the belly. So I hope this has given you a little bit of horizon broadening. I hope this has helped you possibly negotiate some safe activities on your homestead, your farm, your ranch, your backyard, whatever you're doing, guys. But remember, 2 points of contact at all times for safe negotiation. Because if you go 1 point, you're really risking quite a bit. Well, we thank you for your viewing. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the like button. Hit that bell notification too. Every Friday we got a new video coming up, and we appreciate your viewing. So we'll see you on the next one. Be safe and be good. Thank you from Swamp Triangle Law.